Good morning, everyone out there in YouTube land. My name is Jared, and this is my channel, Mazda B3K. In this video, we are going to investigate why the alternator is not charging the batteries on my 1989 Ford F350 with a 7.3 IDI non-turbo diesel. Without further ado, let's get started. Alrighty, so for those that are new to diesels, diesel systems, since they're a much higher compression engine, generally have two batteries. So you can crank on it longer, and also as part of their fuel purging process, you have to crank on it longer. Anyway, they get two batteries, so they have more capacity. It's still a 12-volt system. So you still have a standard alternator like this. Now, I can see that the previous owner, someone put a new Gates belt on here. This is good. And we got ourselves a nice fresh belt going down to the vacuum pump. This is also good. But I was only seeing surface charge on the batteries about 12.8 because the batteries were, they were still fairly charged while the engine was running. So I started digging in. Now, there's a few flavors of alternator for this engine. This is the one where you've got two lugs up top and a plug. I'm going to laugh if this thing was loose and that was the problem. But what's interesting about this alternator is it has an external voltage regulator. Most modern alternators, it's built onto the alternator. It's a little thing you can unscrew and change out if you want, if you think it's the problem. This one is external. It mounts over here under the starting relay solenoid. And you'll notice mine is missing. It's because I already took it out. This is the connector for it. As you can see, we have a problem here. This pin here is a bit rusted. It's not horribly bad. I know the camera's not picking it up really well, but I'm probably gonna take a file and file on it a little bit. Oh, well, here's the other problem. The pins are trying to slide out. The retainers are broken. Somebody's been naughty. Alright, so I guess I will clean that, and then I'm going to figure out a way. What I'll probably do is I'll get these pins back in. I'll RTV the back so they can't back out. And that'll take care of that. So let me show you the old regulator so you know what it looks like. Here it is. So short circuit protected on it. As you can see, this contact here, number 2, I think from the left, is heavily rusted. I'm thinking that was mouse pee because I'm seeing signs of mice activity in this area over here. Now, this thing is supposed to ground out through its mounting screws, which are right here. Screws look okay. They're not heavily rusted. And the mounting location doesn't look heavily rusted, so I don't think we had a grounding issue. I think this truck sat a long time. Mouse got here, peed all over this, and then this guy went kaput. So I have purchased a new one. I guess it's the A pin. See, it's labeled. You have an I, A, S, and F. So the A pin is the one that probably crapped the bed. So I'm just going ahead. I'm switching this out because I just think it's bad. But if you're not sure and you want to test, what you can do is take like a paper clip or something like that, and you jumper pins 1 and 3, these guys, on the connector. You disconnect the connector while the engine's running, and you jumper 1 and 3, and then check to see if your batteries are charging. If they are, it means this guy's toast. If they're not, it probably means your alternator's toast, assuming that your wiring is okay between the alternator and the voltage regulator. Do check that because it's external. What some guys do is they will do a little bit of fab work and they'll actually upgrade to a better alternator with an internal regulator. I may do that later, but not today. So let me get to work on those pins over there. All right, so I have a set of files, and I've got this flat file here. And all I'm going to do is just take this, try to sneak it in there. It looks like this file is too thick, so I'm not going to be able to do a lot. Just try to get rust off the connector, and it's not heavily rusted, so I actually think I'm okay. But you can do this with all sorts of connectors if they're kind of rusted a bit. And if they're a little bit rusted, you can just kind of get in there, file it, and then, you know, life is good. But if they're heavily boogered up, you just gotta replace it. Yeah, this actually wound up not too bad, so I'm gonna leave it be. And before you do this, I would recommend disconnecting your battery. So just, I don't want surprises. I don't think anything would happen, but I don't like surprises. So we push that back, and so that's how it should look. But we've got these guys wanting to slide out of their internal connectors, so this is where the RTV is going to come in. What is RTV, you might ask? That is room temperature vulcanization cream. It goes on as a goo, and then it hardens into a rubber, basically. You can get it from Permatex and other fine retailers. And you can use it for gasket making and all sorts of other random things. This falls under the random things category. We're going to goop the back of these wires where they go in. And that way we got something that acts like a glue. It'll hold it in position, but at the same time, if we need to service this or do something else, we're not going to need explosives to get it back out. Like if we use super glue or something like that. We can just peel the RTV away and out it will come if we need to do something, which is why we're doing it. So I'm going to go ahead and smear this in here and then just let it sit. RTV, depending on the amount of water in the air and the air temp, has different curing times. The colder it is, the slower it cures. So keep that in mind. I'll probably give it about half an hour to set, and that should be enough for us to plug it back into the voltage regulator. The one other thing I forgot to mention is that RTV is like anti-seize. It's going to get everywhere you don't want it to be. So always have some towels handy. That's just what it does. So keep that in mind. Okay, so not going to touch it now, but there we go. It's ugly as sin, but it don't have to be pretty. It's in the engine bay. We're going to let that set. That should do what we need it to do, so we don't have to worry about that contact backing out. That could have been the problem the entire time. It could very well be that this voltage regulator is fine, but it cost me, and this was part store tax, it cost me like 40 bucks. I'm willing to pay that for some insurance. Basically, that I have a part that works versus one that doesn't. As best I can gather, 2 owners ago, this truck sat for a very long time, and stuff happened, and then the last guy just couldn't quite get it going. So replacement, this is from O'Reilly's. No sponsorship, but they're local. They generally have the stuff I need when I need it. So this is a Master Pro 2VR2, and when we look at it, about right. It says short circuit protected. Got pins, they're shiny. They're labeled IASF. Beautiful. So we'll leave that there. And we'll just fiddle fart around with other things for half an hour to an hour. And I will bring you back when this has had some time to set so that I don't undo what I just did. Alright, so the RTV cured up, and I went ahead, plugged the new regulator in. I'm going to go ahead and get those screws back in. Before you do any of that, I'm going to remind you again, disconnect your batteries, because if you accidentally bump this relay with something metal, you're going to get a fireworks show. Ask me how I know. So I'm going to get that screwed back in, and then I guess we'll pop it off and see if it charges. Alright, if you take a look, we're showing 13.9 at idle, which apparently for this engine that's normal. So that means that the repair to the charging system did work. We are now charging the batteries. So the other thing is here, as you can see, got nothing on the actual volt gauge in the cluster. I got to do some more research to figure out what could cause that other than, you know, a bad alternator, whatnot. So I will keep you posted. Alright folks, that's going to do it for this video where we successfully identified a bad voltage regulator and fixed the charging system on my 1989 Ford F350 7.3 liter non-turbo IDI diesel. If you found this video entertaining, if you found it interesting, if you found it educational, please consider like, sharing, and subscribing. That does help to grow the channel and allow me to bring you more content like this. Please also leave a comment. I like to read them, I like to reply to them, and I do like to learn from them. And as always, guys, I make the mistakes so you don't have to. I'll catch you guys next episode.